Hello, welcome to the third part of Open Data. We have two more presentations ready to brief you with their work. Our next speaker will tell you more about the endeavors of connecting public institutions and open data, why governmental data are not accessible enough for free of usage, and how the organization Open Data Kosovo is doing their work to better the situation. Everything that will tell you Blerina Ramaj from Open Data Kosovo. Please welcome her.
On? Okay. If I may have the presentation. So I can start then afterwards. It's not this one. Another one, the one after. It's not. They switched that part. Okay, don't worry. No, it's fine. They just switched.
I will use this short time just to remind you that we have Instagram competition. I hope you posted your pictures. Once again, I will remind you what is it about if you forgot. So we have Instagram competition. All you need to do is to share the most creative data photo from conference by posting the picture on your Instagram account with official hashtags, hashtag DSC4 and hashtag DSC4moments, and tag our official Instagram account. I hope we are ready to start. Here we go.
Okay, so before I answer the question that I opened it in my presentation, that if they are ready to open their data for a wider use, I'm just going to go briefly to some of the work and some of the measurements that us as an organization, together with partners in the region, came to the conclusion. But before going into that, I'm going to tell you that Open Data Kosovo is an NGO based in Kosovo as a civic tech. It was founded in 2014, and it's basically a community-driven organization. The Open Data now has 18 full-time employees who are basically divided in the managerial part and the developers part. So basically we bring on the ideas and the team of developers actually put them in practice. All of our initiatives until now have been with the greatest achievement by Forbes list 30 under 30 for 2017, which has ranked open data that is bringing government transparency and accountability throughout technology. So basically, my presentation is going to be divided into parts in connection with each other. The first part, I'm going to talk about the Regional Openness Index of the Action C, a EU-funded project, who measures the open data usage of the public institutions in the region. And then afterwards, I'm going to talk more about the use of open data in Kosovo in respective to the public institution and how they're ready to publish their data. So basically, Action C is the accountability, technology, and institutional openness network in the region. In South, we work in 6 countries in the Western Balkans. So basically, Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Albania, Kosovo, and Macedonia. We have 3 measurements for the Regional Openness Index. We did it for 2016, finished it for 2017. And now for the 2018, we're just going to wait it to end and in the December to start the measurement. We measure 645 public institutions, and we have around 30,000 indicators which we measure the open data, the openness index in this regard. The institutions which we have measured are basically from the executive power, which include the Office of the Prime Minister, all the ministries, and as well as the executive agencies which are in the Office of the Prime Minister, the Parliament, local self-governance, which mean the municipalities in the region, prosecution, which includes prosecution council, public prosecution, and supreme state prosecution, and the courts, which include court council and courts, which can be appeal courts, supreme state courts, and every other types of court, depending on the judiciary system in the respective countries. So basically, the indicators include questions which are quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative include the ones who are basically the ones who we send a questionnaire and we receive answers from the institution. And the qualitative ones we basically collect on their website, see what they are publishing and how open are they with the open data. So the questions related that we sent it as an indicators were like, some of them is like, is your institution aware of the concept of open data? Have your public servants trained how to publish an open data format? Do we have a specific person who basically is in charge on creating those formats and make it public to the citizens? Do you publish in your website, or there is another institutional platform that you use? Do you have any strategies or policy that you follow up, or any type of open data, because there are like 50 questions related to open data, so I just listed some of them. If they have if they fulfill this criteria, then we went on the, do they know what type of data do they own, do they make any comparisons, and other analyses. So when we first started for the measurement in 2016, this was like basically the status quo. We have seen that the Montenegro reached 90% of the 100% score of the indicators. Follow up then afterwards with Serbia, Kosovo, Bosnia, Macedonia, and then in the end we had Albania in the region. So basically this was in 2016 when the project kicked off and the first measurement was done. Afterwards, when we did the measurement for 2017, we have seen a lot of increase of a public institution using data and actually making them public for wider use. All of the countries have doubled their score in the indicators if you make it a comparison for 2017. But still, we had like the same score, just a switch between Kosovo and Serbia, when Kosovo was ranked second and then afterward followed with Serbia as third. And now I want to go to more specific, also knowing about how institutions per country scored against each other as a competition between also us as partners in the region. Core executive, or as Office of the Prime Minister, it was an interesting thing to see that when it was switched from the opposition, when it took the position, for example, in the government, we have seen a lot of increase in the open data score. For example, in Macedonia, I can share with you in 2016, it had it like 20% score of indicators of core executive. With the switch of the government, it had a 44. In Kosovo, the core executive in 2016, for example, it had 60%, and then it dropped for the new government for 22%. So basically, it was a conclusion that it depends on whom comes to power to if they're going to work on, or are they willing to open their data. Then we have the line of the ministries. Serbia did the best this year in regard to open data among the ministries, and then you can see how it's followed up in the other states. The executive agencies still in the region is a big problem, and the executive agencies or the regulatories, I don't know how it's called in your respective countries, have scored the lowest, which are the ones who have the most data. And then afterwards, I will show you some examples in Kosovo. In the parliament, which is it's just one institution and basically are the most opened institution in the whole region, publishing their data, for example, in the attendance of the MPs, how they were voting, the data and everything, and the public spendings. And another thing that helped a lot of the parliaments having one of the biggest scores among other institutions, it was that they adopted the Openness Declaration of the Parliaments, which is an international initiative. Local self-government as the first touch of citizens and direct communication has one of the lowest from the institutions, and this is really worrying because we haven't seen in the local self-government any in the municipality any initiative on promoting their data. And the numbers from 2016 and 2017 keeps remaining low and the same, like below 30%. Court council, just to bear in mind that Albania in regard to judiciary are having the reform of the justice system. So basically they are non-functioning and they are trying to reform this. So that's why their score is 0. And this is like basically court councils in the region on publishing their data. The courts, which is interesting that usually are said the judiciary system is more closed rather than open, but in our open data index, it told us that it is really increased even comparing to the municipalities. Prosecutional council, these are the scores. Public prosecution. Macedonia and Albania do not have still the public prosecution, so basically their scores are 0 in this regard. So we had just the 4 countries in this part. And Supreme State prosecution, Bosnia has it differently because of the federation system, and the prosecution offices are within the prosecution council that it was before. So the results we generated basically from the regional openness index on open data is that the regions have adopted the open data charter, which is from the G20 summit, which was conducted in Ireland. And just a small number of public servants where we address the index are informed on what exactly are open data, and even a smaller number actually are producing open data. They put it that trainings and workshops for them, for the public servants, on how to create and publish data in open format is one of the most necessary tools that they have seen. In order to publishing data, there should be a political willingness. If you don't have a partner up or you haven't convinced the head of the institution, it is impossible to even train the public servants to publish their data. But there is a willingness, and basically they are requesting civil society support on this because they cannot do it themselves because they are not trained, and they require people who are actually knowing about open data. So I'm going to move now, if you don't have any questions in the regard or in the end, I'm going to go to the use of open data in Kosovo. So basically, when did the open data in Kosovo became actually a topic? It's relatively new. It was first introduced to the government of Kosovo in 2015. Which follow up with the creating of the open data platform where Open Data Kosovo did conduct and the platform, and they follow up with the adoption of Open Data Charter in order to and created also an action plan on who is going to be responsible, but still it's not implemented, so it is impossible for us to track who is going to be in charge. And we have a really great success story is the capital of Kosovo, Pristina, is leading the region in the open data and publishing data in the open format for wider use. So basically, this is the Open Government Data Portal. It serves as a tool for government officials to enable transparency through the publication of the government data sets. Now it is an initiative during this year to start publishing more data, but the problem is they don't know how to. So basically, we're offering our expertise since we conducted this platform to actually develop it more and training the public servants on how to publish data sets. It is within the line of Open Knowledge Fund, Open Knowledge, and then you have like data sets, organizations, and groups. So basically you can divide them if you want to know about a specific institution or you want to know about a group of data sets that can be public procurement or something else. So what the capital Pristina did is like not only publish in open data format, but they actually did a platform within their official website, which is Pristina Open Data. They have divided like the budget, data set, organization. You can make like comparison, you can create visualization for a better understanding, you can see the spendings within the directorates, you can see the investments, you can see the salaries, compare them and all the data in open format, and then you can also download them and make for the general public and academia to do their research on this. But what is the actual perception on open data in Kosovo is that the government officials actually produce data is going to be used to criticize the public establishment. So basically the first thing you have to do that it spends a lot of time is like basically convincing them that not necessarily, it is important to publish also the data for example, of their spendings and everything, but it's not the most important thing that we need. We are only interested in their spending, and there's like a big misconception about what is a public document and what is a data set. Every time we say to open their data, it comes to the idea that they should publish a receipt or they have to, we have to know about their travel arrangement. But now we have to go like in a smaller steps, like convince them about actually what is open data. So now to the question, what do public institutions own that can have a wider use? Data about businesses. This initiative took place in 2016 from Open Data. What we wanted to know is like basically Ministry of Trade of Industry has an agency of registry of businesses. And if you wanted to search a certain business, you had to basically know the registration number or the fiscal number. You could not search business by their name, just that you have seen Hyatt Hotel. It wasn't impossible. If you wanted to track the owner, you basically had to know their identification number, which is a personal number, and it is protected within the law on personal data. So we requested for them for basically firstly to open their data to have like an access with the name of the business or the name of the person who owns the business. And this was impossible because immediately they thought that we're going to be linked with the politicians and they were seen as a threat. But in the end of the day, we were like, we just could not go and say that, but all the politicians do not have the businesses on their name. So basically they move it to a third or fourth party and they just stand behind the business. So they weren't sharing the data. The only way they were sharing the data, it was like bringing us to printed copies. It was like a double work actually. And we asked for advisory opinion from the ombudsperson, and he said you can own those data, and we proposed that to do with the web scraping technique, and it gave us the right to do the web scraping because we didn't want to go to court or having a different to create an enemy, but we got the right to do the web scraping. So basically we scrapped all the business data that was owned in the website. If you knew, for example, the number of the business, you can actually access to the name, but that's when we did the the scrapping, and we opened the business, and we made it available to search by person, by name of the business, the state of the business, and everything. By opening the businesses, we were able, firstly, to see how many businesses are opening per year and how many businesses are closing, how many businesses are being opened by women and what type of businesses, and all of this data that wasn't available by the closed format. And now they are requesting basically this one to be their official platform, because it is necessary now to open the businesses. But back in 2016, they had a misconception. So basically, when they saw for what is being used, we could not convince them in the beginning what is going to be used. But now they're seeing that it's interested for them to know the data of the businesses. This was like the first work of open data in 2014 to know the export data of Kosovo to European Union. Again, convincing the institution, the customs, to release their data of the exports. So we started with something that is not that interested for their side. So for example, we requested the data on frozen fruits and nuts, how they are being exported, what type. So basically knowing how quantity, tons, value, so we could see, because customs were giving us information how much money we're exporting, how many are importing. So basically we just created some really interesting bubbles to know which are the main ones, and basically people to know what is being exported, or more to know about what can they export, what is missing in the market of Kosovo, so they can orient businesses actually on the export. And this now we're now being partnered up with the customs, like to make the whole data of the exports and imports of Kosovo like in visualized way, because it's more for us from OpenAI, it's easy to understand the data, but from someone who is just a regular citizen, it's important to understand with visualization. This is currently new. It's as I said, Pristina is now the most opened one. So basically, the municipality approached Open Data and they said that we want to make the signed public contracts open to the citizens with every data available. So this is how we got the open contract. So open contracts is within the lines of open data contract standards. And it has, if you go online, it's like, I'll share with you the name. It's in English, so you can see as well. It has like the data sets for each contract that is conducted. So basically not just the information of the contract, but basically you can see which was the estimated value of the contract, and if the municipality has overspent or it has spent less. You can make which are the most companies who are basically gaining more tenders and procurement procedures, and they had like a red flag algorithm if the municipality gave to a certain economic operator a tender and didn't fulfill all the necessary documents. You can see who applied with what type of amount, and then you have like the data set to download it for year and from directorate, and then you can just do your own visualization. You have ready visualization, but you can also do your own. And then it's linked to the open businesses because we saw it necessary if you have it that a company has signed a contract, you can click with the open business platform and receive all their data connected to them. We have some lists that we are trying to tackle. There are just some three. First one is air quality. Ministry of Environment has data for each municipality, how is the air quality. And now we have asked that data to be shared and to be made public, but they're going to the answer of not to, because it will be used that the air quality is not that good in Kosovo. But we are going like, but the embassy of Pristina is telling that the air quality is bad in Pristina, and when we walk around the city, we see that it's not good. And we want to know about the air quality, what type of gases are in the air, to see where they're coming from so we can tackle the air quality. And basically we want to have, for example, air quality data to know when is the best time for go running, or when is the best time for a mother to take her newborn out for a walk, or that. So basically, this type of information make it the life of the citizen very easy. Market trends. It is connected, as I mentioned, with open businesses, but it is they are not being updated regularly from the main institutions, so it's impossible to know about which businesses are being mostly. We want to have also some data on foreign direct investments, so we can know what is being invested in Kosovo, so we know how to orient with the third point, where are the pupils going, basically to orient the curricula. So all this data available, it's interesting. So another thing that we wanted to do, it is like basically we wanted to do to get data of 112 or 911 emergency calls and map them around the city and receive information which streets are being the most noisiest ones and people are sending complaints, where are being electrical defects, where are people fighting, or this type of data. So for example, for people to help them basically to help people understand where should I buy my next apartment. If I want to have a quiet neighborhood, so I just enter, see the data, and actually buy an apartment where it's more open, and other type. And also this one of where pupils are going is very important for us, because they have like this data of how many children are in the first grade, third grade, fourth grade, but actually we want to do a more detailed analysis of the data of where pupils are going, basically to know for each municipalities where are female pupils going, or girls or boys, which careers are they pursuing, and then connect it also with the businesses that are opening in that area that would directly contribute to the economic development. There are a lot of data besides budget spendings and everything, but even the institution do not realize still that they have it. So basically, we have to come up with solution and making them go public. So basically, before going to this, to answer the first question, it's like basically they are ready to send the information out there and make the data available. They just don't know how. And it is important for civil society especially to help the government go open and their public institutions. So if you have any questions or remarks in this regard.
Thank you. Just a second. I will give.
Well, first of all, I want to say this is really impressive.
Thanks.
I live in Switzerland, and also I've lived in New York for a while, where the open data community is also very big, and they started with the open data years back. But even there's a lot of data that's just not. I scrape data, in New York City. So I think this is very impressive. My question is, this index that you talked about, is that an index that you designed, or that's some from another organization that we could also compare numbers with other countries?
Okay, so the index is like basically part of the regional project, Accountability Action C. You can go like actionc.org. We are like 6 organizations working in 6 Western Balkan countries working together. So we developed the methodology, the indicators, and everything together. Based on the open standards that are to be followed and the open data standards. And then we coordinate all together. We send the same questionnaires, same research. It's done for like 4 or 5 months, because we not always receive the information. And then we do the index, which gets published every September. In the Action C, you can see, like, firstly we have the part of the index which is like regional comparison, and then each of the state has its own research and all its own results. We publish it at opendatakosovo.org, and other partner I can link to you. But also all of these are together in the Action C website. Thanks.
Thank you. Do you have some more questions?
It's
What? Sorry. No? Okay, then thank you very much.
So stay in touch.